Boom. Yo. Welcome to the motherfucking neighborhood via mystical illuminations. Um, Welcome to our second pop-up shop, mental health maintenance pop-up shop body. That's what we're doing today. Boom. Neum just popped in on your girl. So we about to what's popping, Neum? I'm just doing the welcome. I'm trying to get the people ready for you.
All right, fantastic. How you doing, sweetheart?
I'm blessed. Trying to keep it together.
Beautiful. I feel you.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I'm just doing a quick rundown and then we'll hop into business with you. Okay, so guys, this is Neum, the spiritual bodybuilder. We'll be working with him today. So this will be fun. Okay, so quick welcome back. If this is your first time at the mental health awareness pop-up, make sure you go back and see the very first video. It's a mind body beauty and bullshit type thing, so you want to watch all of these, you want to catch all of these are tips, tricks, just real things in life that you can use throughout life to just kind of get you over that hump, man, in a real way. Okay, so there's that. I want to take a brief pause today. Here in North Carolina, it is mental health awareness day, so I'm getting ready to go to a gala after this. That's why I get dressed up anyway, but that's why I'm a little more dolled up tonight, because this is one of the causes that I live, I breathe, eat, die for. So shout out to Eustress Inc. If you want to donate to it, a charity, that's my charity of choice. That one all month long is mental health awareness month. So that part, make sure you check them out. I love them. Shout out to Rashawn. He's a really good friend of mine. I love his story. He made me fall in love with mental health. So I'm always going to back and support him. So that's today. So you guys be on the lookout for that. I'll put the info in the comments. In the description box below on how you can donate or learn more about that charity. Okay. So there's that. All right. So now that business is out of the way, we have a game. So throughout this live, every time you hear the word body, take a shot. So I always tell you guys to either bring your drinks, Molly's, blunts, whatever it is you get to start your day down. Get that and come enjoy us. It's a thing. You have to be an active participant in it. And I also hope you have your pen and paper, because this is also a class. You feel me? So every time you hear the word body, from here on out, you drink, shoot, smoke, puff, whatever it is that you do that. Okay, so y'all gotta and keep count. Somebody in the comments, let us know how many times we said body. So and every time you watch this, just have something and just know you gotta drink. So there's that. So without further ado, all right, so I came up with this game. This is gonna be interactive. So do you want me to call you Neum, or do you want me to call you spiritual bodybuilder? I told you we're like you said, spiritual tender, and at this fucking point.
Yeah, let's go with spiritual bodybuilder. And man, I'll tell you what, with all the amount of times we're going to say the word body, we're going to have some people getting lit up in here.
Hey, you ain't lit.
You're right.
All right, so I'm a nerd, so it's a mental stretch. Okay, so get ready for this. All right, I'm gonna ask you a series of questions. Okay, and well, I'm not even that. I'm gonna say a series of words, and I'm gonna just be pulling these words out of my ass.
Okay.
You have to tell me the first thing you think of when I say these words, but you have to do it in the mind frame of like your grandmother.
Can you be more specific about that?
Okay, so like I'll say a word and you have to think, how would your grandmother answer this question? And you have to answer it like that, but quickly.
Okay.
When it comes to it's a mental stretch.
Yeah, I like it.
Let me pour me a glass of wine.
There you go.
All right. Listen, I'm gonna say some off the wall shit, but you gotta answer like your grandmother would answer. Okay?
Let's do it.
All right, and they quick fire. All right. First, big booty bitches.
Be nice.
Okay. All right. Love.
Gratitude.
Chili cheese hot dog.
Heart disease.
Ferris wheels.
Excitement.
Dance.
Get it.
Hope.
Prayer.
And we'll leave off on that one. So that was just a mental stretch to get you comfortable, to get you to understand what type of host I am.
Okay.
You know? All right.
I like it.
So let's do this. All right. So I can't spend too much time because I gotta get some food. So one, tell me a little bit about you. I know that's an open-ended question, but tell me a little, like, let's go through this interview. I'm putting you in another mind frame. I'm putting this in a mind frame of you are shooting a life-changing interview, your documentary of your life. Like, you know, the things that you watch on History X, and when people are talking about them, like different astrologers and like what they would have thought. So you're telling the story of yourself. So that's the mind frame that you're in while we do this interview. Okay. So tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, I grew up in Boston, and I grew up really embodying the archetype of the wounded healer or the wounded warrior. I grew up.
Wait, pause. I'm gonna stop you in between because I have a lawyer brain. So what's the wounded warrior? Because I want people to understand you. So we're shooting for people who don't know astrology. We're shooting for people who have no clue what that means. So I'm gonna stop you here something and ask you to break it down. I hope that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So basically, from the moment I came into this world, I experienced a lot of trauma and a lot of discontentment. I grew up bouncing around in foster care, homeless for a long time. I got involved with gangs, drugs, and when I was about 20, I basically had a choice to either go in the military or go to jail. Right. So I went in the military, and that helped give me some structure. And I started to live my life to really face my fears, because my fears really had a grip on me for my entire life. When I was a teenager, I had such bad anxiety. I had a stutter, and I had no friends. I was like, when empaths grow up in families, the black sheep, we tend to be the one that doesn't fit in with anything, right? So I've always been very emotional, contrary to my physical appearance. I deeply feel energy. And so I had to go off my own and really discover myself. But I made a point throughout my life to really face my fears for my living. So when I was in the military, I joined the bomb squad, and so I was deployed twice, once to Guantanamo Bay and once to Iraq. Okay. And I went to Iraq. That really changed my life. I got blown up a few times. I got diagnosed with PTSD, and when I got back, I was working my way out of the military. And when you get deployed, they shoot you up with all kinds of vaccines. And
my ex was in the military, so he told me. So listen, wow. He was just like, listen, if I nutted you, you're vaccinated for life. Like, you get the same proteins I get. That's what he told me, because he was
yeah, pretty much. But for me, it happened to get me really sick.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So and when I was in the military, they hopped me up on all kinds of medication and drugs. And there was a point where I was on 16 different medications at once. And it just made me a shell of a man. So I made a decision as I was getting out to just get off all the shit on my own, cold turkey. And I shifted all my energy into bodybuilding. That's how I actually discovered bodybuilding. So all this anger, all this pain, I put into weights. I started competing, and I did really good at it. Right. But eventually I sort of lost my identity going through that. And I did 10 shows. And after my last one, I sort of went through an identity crisis. And that's when I went to massage school and I started massaging. And when I did that, I had a massive SER. This is when I was about 250 pounds. I was a lot bigger than I am now. And but I was holding on to all this stuff in my tissue. And this is when I really started to learn and understand consciousness, right? Because when I went through this, I went through about 2 hours of it. Looked sort of like a seizure, right? And it was like an acid trip seizure. It was really fucking strange. Oh, wow. And so I started wanting to discover what was going on with me, and it changed me so much that I no longer want to hang out with the same friends. I didn't want to eat the same foods. I didn't want to work out anymore. I didn't want to do anything that I used to do, and I felt very lost. And then I started just attracting teachers and mentors into my life through massage therapy. I found that I was very, very good at connecting with people's energy and helping to release trapped energy in other people's bodies, and transforming people's lives. And through that, I also, that's when I started working with Mother Ayahuasca too. And Mother Ayahuasca pretty much taught me everything I know at this point. And so I've been doing that now for about 7 years. And you know, the massage therapy really helped me connect. Like, I would get visions of of people's trauma in my third eye. And I learned that I had the ability to extract these traumas out of people. But for the longest time, I actually like emotionally, deep down, I felt like I deserved to be punished. So I would take their shit on myself, and it started affecting me in my own body, right? Having Chiron, which is the astrological archetype of the wounded healer, right? It's at 5 degrees Taurus in my first house. And so I feel everything in my physical body. And I started going real deep into researching how the physical body represents our consciousness. And then so going through that, and then working with other plant medicines like Kambo, you know, Hape, Sananga, and working with shamans and you know, healers from all around the world, I started to discover the inner healer within myself. And I've actually created my entire life, my entire business around working with these different modalities to help people heal. And so now at 42 years old, I've come into this more balanced place of really living my life to help and heal others. And I still exercise, but you know, I don't exercise to look a certain way. I exercise to feel a certain way. And I also utilize cellular nutritional microscopy, which is a long-winded word for assessing and measuring the cellular terrain of our body to identify imbalances. And then I utilize detoxification protocols and coaching guidance through that, through behavior, NLP work with behavior patterns, and you know, these other means of understanding the human body to help balance people out. And now I'm in that place where, you know, when people meet me and when people like see me, my physical appearance, you know, people judge me a lot, you know, like I'm some big meathead that is, you know, kind of like a douchebag. But then when people talk to me and they realize that, like you, I'm a huge nerd, and you know, I just love to help and heal people. It's really surprising to see like the kind of people I attract, and in the very unique ways that I'm able to help them out. And through helping other people out, it helps me understand myself better too.
All right. So you said so much, as my good friend would say, we got to unpack. We have to unpack. So let's unpack. So first things first, I am what I like to call a recovering massage addict. I love massages. So like I go get them. It was so funny. So in our last talk, I was talking to Liz, the energy, about letting people touch me. And that it sounds nasty and arrogant, but like I told her, I'll put it in this perspective. I'll let a happy hobo touch me than a rich douche. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Exactly. It's the energy. And I'm a sponge, and I say that to people all the time, and they don't really get it. Like I am that static that you see when you don't have any cable, that little black gray shit that's just comes with noise. Yeah, that I'm white noise. Like I'm that sensitive. And so I don't like to be around people. I don't like to let people, but I had to learn that about myself. And that was a big thing as well. So I had to tell you, one, I'm a recovering massage addict. So I'm gonna definitely have to let you give me a massage. I'm sure it got some traumas that you could just take right on out your girl. So there's that. You said a lot. I'm trying to figure out what I want to unpack first. As a healer, and you said you took people's traumas out, like how did you come to grips with that? Like, does that make sense? Like, how did you say, hey, this is what I'm doing, and I know this what I'm doing, so I'm called to do this? Like, what was your realization? What was that? What was that?
So when I started working on people, you know, when you're first learning to channel, or when you're first getting psychic imprints, you kind of feel crazy. At least I did. Yeah. Like, okay, like maybe I'm just making this shit up, or maybe like this is just nuts or crazy, or I don't know what I'm feeling. But I realized that going through the process of working with people, like after we were done, they get up and they'd just be like flying. They'd feel like they're floating. People would say that they felt like light, like a feather, like they, no worries in the world. And over time, I'd realize that I was starting to feel more and more, beat down, tired, heavy, and so around, during this time, I was also working with ayahuasca a lot. And every time I do a ceremony, ayahuasca would show me how I was taking this on. It was because of my self-worth and my self-confidence was not the greatest, based on my abandonment rejection issues from my childhood. So it was a journey. It was a process of going through like helping people and really feeling great about helping people, but then sacrificing myself for helping people started to take a toll on my health and my wellness. So I went through a lot of periods for a good like 3 years of where I would, try to push through it. And then, I started getting, I guess you could say, addicted to like, I started taking Adderall and having to take Ambien to sleep because I couldn't sleep, and going down these rabbit holes of beating myself up and getting tired, and then having realizations and aha moments, and then, rinse and repeat. And whenever I would, touch someone and work on them, I would get into this sort of like meditative trance like state. And so at first it started where I'll be working on someone and I'll get this weird random image in my mind when I was working on their body. And I started to work up the courage to ask like open-ended questions like, hey, did you, go to a carnival when you were about 6-7 years old? And they'd be like, oh my God, I was just thinking that. Like, how the hell did you know? And I started, the more that I would trust that feeling, the more information would come through, and I would build more courage into speaking it and bringing it out until I got to the point where I 100% trust it. And I'm like, look, this is what you're going on. This is what we're doing. We're gonna open this up, bam, 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 and then it would just, be cleared out. And the more I trusted, the more people trusted me, and then when I started doing astrology, I started doing astrology in about 2015. And so I coupled the channeling of my astrology with the channeling of feeling the stuff in people's bodies. And I would, combine the process together. And then of course, also when I started doing microscopy, when I look at it's live and dry blood cell analysis, and now I would, you can read the consciousness of people in the terrain of their blood. So I would start doing that as well and channeling information from the blood. So being able to utilize all these different techniques, I would be able to bring up these subconscious triggers, and I can feel if I say something, if it triggers some kind of trauma in them. And then I've learned how to work around with these NLP techniques to instead of them getting triggered and shutting down, helping them triggered and then face it, feel it, and then work through it. And so it's really like a multifaceted, integrated process of healing. And now this is what I feel is my purpose in life.
So you are a super nerd like me, just BT dubs. Like you started talking and you just went instant nerd. I was like, I fuck with it, nerd the nerd. I understand what you're saying. I fuck with it. So like I said, so many things to unpack. We're gonna come back to some other things you said, but ayahuasca. So I'll say this: I will only ever do weed. That's the only thing I'll ever do. Smoke. That's my thing. I feel like you can't make any decision on anything if you don't know about it. So I'm a nerd and I want to learn. So what is ayahuasca and how does it? Because I know a lot of shamans use it to aid. So what is ayahuasca and how does it aid in the spiritual journey from your perspective?
Oh, okay. That's a good one. Ayahuasca is an ancient shamanic medicine that comes from the Amazon. And shamans have been using this indigenously for thousands of years. It's 2 different plants that grow in the Amazon, and they boil up these plants and make a tea out of it. And the way that they make it is in a very ceremonial fashion. And when you drink this brew, it contains the alkaloid DMT. Are you familiar with DMT? Dimethyltryptamine.
Yep.
Okay, so that is naturally occurring in our brain. It's actually
it's natural and it's provided in these plants. So our body naturally produces it, and this plant naturally produces it.
So DMT is secreted in large amounts when we're born and when we die. That's why when people have near-death experiences, they see Jesus, they go to the white light, and they come back and they can be completely reborn. Well, when you do this process, it has the same similar effect just while you're alive, right? And shamans the plants speak to the shamans through the shamans as they channel the energy, and they sing these songs called ikaros, which are ancient prayers or chants, like you hear like American Indian, Native Americans,
Yeah.
they'll
Okay.
like, you know, do their chanting. Well, this is the South American version of that.
Okay.
Okay. And when they sing these songs, they channel the energy of the plants into the space that they create for people. So this is something that's not done recreationally.
Yeah.
It has to be done with a trained professional that, you know, like, and knows how to clear these energies. And they do specific cleansings and purifications and things with like different smokes and sounds and instruments to purge out and heal all the trauma that's in our consciousness, not from just this lifetime, but it can go, you know, multiple lifetimes, you know, backwards and forwards, because it's timeless. But it basically, it cleans out your body, and you journey into these different dimensions. And as they sing the songs, it's almost like a magic carpet ride, right? And you just float into your traumas, you face them, you feel them, you clear them out, and it clears out the physical, emotional, and spiritual aspects of the body. So after you do a ceremony, you know, there's the famous purge that comes with it, where, you know, like you do these deeply energetic, you know, purge, you know, shit, sweat, puke, cry, you know, whatever it is they have to do.
That's part I wouldn't ever want to do. I'll be like, no.
Well, you know, if you think about it, it's better out than in, right? And
you're very right.
Right. And after you're done with this, you feel like the weight of the world has been lifted off of your shoulders, right? You're clear, you feel energy deeper, you understand how you get in your own way. It really helps us to get out of our ego and get into our heart. It cracks the heart chakra wide open. And people like us that are empaths that have been through a massive amount of trauma in our lives, right? We have an automatic tendency to protect our heart, to close it down because of all the pain, right? So this really cracks it wide open. And that is where our true weird gift is. It's in our heart, right? So the more you can open your heart, the more you see your own shit, the more you can understand how to grow and how to really create and build the life that you want to create, as opposed to repeating these conditioned patterns that we've learned throughout life. So it's a very, very powerful medicine. Yeah.
So so many things. One I wanted to say. So I think of myself. If I had something in my job description, I would put one of those things would be shaman. I don't know. So I do have Native American roots, and I do actually need to go and learn about them. But the lady, my grandmother, like, I don't fuck with her like that. But that's the only person who can teach it to me. So I might have to fuck with her for a few minutes to kind of get that history, you know. But it's interesting, the parallels that I hear you say, like about what the ayahuasca does and the situations, or the shamanic path that I've been on or have led people through. They seem to yield the same result. And I know that sounds crazy, but the way that
path that we take to get essentially to the same place.
Yeah. And so I think of it. So this is me compartmentalizing. I think of everything as a tool. So if ayahuasca was a tool, that makes it make sense to me. It's something that helps you get all of the gunk out.
Exactly. And then there are other medicines that can be used as well. In fact, I'm getting ready to do my first Iboga treatment at the end of this month. Iboga is sort of like ayahuasca is the grandmother medicine. It's a very feminine, like, loving spirit. Where Iboga is like the father spirit, and it comes from Africa. And this is a tree bark that you can see a lot of. It's really popular, or it's really good for like addicts, like people that have been hooked on heroin for 20 years. They go and they do a 3-day Iboga flood dose, and you know, normally when they would have to detox for 6 months and struggle through that, they get through it in 3 days. Boom. And then they can start their life brand new over again. But it makes you have to face yourself. This is all about facing ourselves, right?
And listen, facing yourself is like the hardest thing to do. I won't lie to you. Like, you're your biggest critic. You're like, you know how strong you are, so you know how hard it is to beat you, like to face yourself.
Oh yeah.
You know?
We're our own worst enemy.
Yeah.
but that's exactly why we got to do the work, you know. And cannabis is even a very powerful tool. Like there's a spirit in cannabis that now, of course, everything in moderation. Like some people use it to suppress or stuff things down, but on the same token, it can cure cancer. So there's a very wide, you know, spectrum of where these things can be poisons or medicines. It all just depends on the intention and the manner behind which you use it.
Anything in excess, I live by this. I'm actually, so I'm probably just gonna get a tattoo because I tell this that, like, I say it at least 3 times a day. Anything in excess is poison, and people don't get that. Right. It's so general, it's so vague. Anything too much laughing, you could laugh yourself to death. You know what I mean? Right. Anything in excess is poison. It's something as minute as that. So I definitely get that, and that's one of the things I do too. So I'm a huge, if you know me, I'm a huge marijuana advocate because I'm a weed nerd. I tell people that, like, I wrote a paper in law school about lighting up for a healthy life. So I'm that nerd. So I think that I'm always careful to, when I indulge in marijuana, to not use it to suppress. Like even when my grandmother died, for instance, I had to ask myself, because when my sister, we always get right or whatever. So I'm like, cool. Am I going to, so my grandmother's funeral, everybody, like my whole family, because they already know I smoke a lot, and you know, I'm Leanne is like, my normal is high, so is Leanne high? Okay, good. So they were like, you know, are you gonna be fucked up at my mom's wedding, at my mom's funeral? I was like, yeah, but I had to really stop and ask myself, this is, if we're talking mental health and mental health awareness, am I taking this to suppress the pain of my grandmother dying, or am I being in my normal state? Right. And I really had to make that decision. And it was, I was fine, because I tell everybody, when somebody has Alzheimer's, like you mourn them long before their death.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there's that. So that's something that I just wanted to throw out there. Like, I'm careful when I do use marijuana, when I do use anything, I'm making sure I'm using it from a mentally happy place and not a place of fear or I needing to band-aid or fix something. Right. That's what a lot of people, how I think that a lot of times that's how addictions are formed. And I have an addictive personality, so I have to be very careful of those things.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm excited. I love the thing about the Iboga. Is it, say it again, the Iboga, the grandfather. What say it?
Iboga.
Iboga. Yeah. So I loved learning about that. I didn't know that there was like a counterpart to it. I'm excited. I'm glad that I actually know about that. I'll put that in my tool belt, and if I ever need it, because you never know when you'll need it, I'll use it. So okay, one more question about it, just to be nosy. Just a nosy question. The first time that you did ayahuasca, how was it? What would you like if you could okay, narrate, like watch yourself doing ayahuasca for the first time, and that's how you're going to tell me about it from that mind frame. So you're narrating yourself. Okay.
So I found out about through a client of mine, actually, and I found out that it was a ceremony I was able to get into. So I did a whole bunch of research. I watched like 10 documentaries and all this information on it, and I realized that I felt such a strong calling to it. I was like, wow, this is what I need. This is what I want. And I was on a deeply intense like journey in discovering myself. So remember, I went to this house, and there was this very, very intimidating masculine man. He was French American Indian, so he had this like French accent. But
gorgeous?
Huh?
I said, was he gorgeous? Was he like a beautiful type man?
No, he was kind of burly. he was big and like, just his energy was just it was so powerful and intimidating. I really don't know else how to describe it, but he was also very gentle at the same time.
Wow.
So I remember when I went up to drink my first drink, I was almost shitting my pants. I was very nervous. I was having like an anxiety attack because, you know, I had done psychedelics before, but I realized that with this, I had to completely surrender, and I didn't know how to do that at the time.
Oh, damn! Right? Yeah. Okay.
So I drank this brew, and my heart is pounding out of my chest. And you know, I've had bad trips on acid before, so I'm like, fuck this. I'm feeling like this is gonna promote a bad trip, and am I gonna lose my mind, and I'm gonna go nuts and blah blah blah. And then about half hour, 45 minutes into it, it started kicking in, and I was expecting it to be dark and harsh and angry, and it was this warm, joyful, loving, peaceful energy that just flooded through my body. And you know, he started seeing these Icaros, and it was burning sweetgrass, which I never smelled before. The sweetgrass just made me feel like at home in a way. It's very interesting. So I started just seeing all these fractals and just completely all these colors tripping my balls off. Really.
Okay. So can I pause you? Because you know I told you I'm gonna pause you. Fractals. So we're gonna go down a rabbit hole. You have to remember it's all kind of mind games and tricks while we interviewing with me. Okay. So you have to remember what we're talking about right now. Okay. But fractals. So I'm trying to explain fractals. I try to get people to explain what a fractal is. So for you to use fractal in a sentence means you know what it is and you have some type of understanding of it. So explain a fractal to me in a way that I can try to explain it to other people.
Okay, well, so do you know what sacred geometry is?
Yes.
Okay, so fractals is a series of sacred geometry. It's the most fundamental geometric shapes, like this right here. This is sacred geometry. Yeah. Okay, this is known as Metatron's cube. Okay.
Pause. So I don't think I know sacred. I know. Okay, I know the term sacred geometry. I don't know about it. If that makes sense.
Okay, so
I don't know what it is.
So all the most fundamental shapes that come in geometry, all right, in a cosmic sense, they represent the language of the universe. Okay, so when you dig deep down into really everything in life, down to you know an atom, is born from or generated from sacred geometry. Right? So have you ever seen like that test they do when they play a certain vibration on like a table and like the water goes into like a shape like that? Well, it's vibration is a form of like the most fundamental form of electricity, right? So it's energy in its purest form, and when it takes a certain shape, it creates a certain experience. So I like literally everything that is alive and that is organic material is born from sacred geometry.
So we are fractals.
We are fractals, exactly, at our very core. So this is how what's that?
So it makes sense because when we're fractals, like when we have kids, it's just another part of us that is growing. Okay, I'm sorry. Keep going.
No, it's okay. So when we see fractals in sacred geometry in experiences like this, it's essentially our subconscious mind speaks to our conscious mind through shapes and through patterns and through colors and things like that. And each of these things comes from a form of sacred geometry. So usually the first thing that you see when you do some kind of powerful psychedelic like DMT are the fractals. And the fractals is basically sending codes or downloads from your subconscious mind.
So you can see you can see the birth of energy, like even this energy. Okay.
Yes, exactly. Okay. So when you first see this stuff, it doesn't make sense because it literally activates all your five senses at once. So it's like sensory overload, but then the downloads come after it to the extent that the conscious mind can comprehend it. Right?
Ooh, that's a thick. Unpack that. Just say what you mean by that. I know what you mean, but that was a thick.
Okay, so as we grow through life, right? We experience traumas. I mean, everybody does. That's just sort of the process of life to overcome and to undo the conditioning and whatnot. And the society we live in definitely promotes all that conditioning, suppression, basically fear, right? So over the years, when we suppress this fear, when it comes up, when we're clearing and purging these things, the conscious mind is only about 5% of our consciousness, right? So it's like trying to, if you picture like a big fat syringe, pressing all this trauma energy out into the conscious mind, but only so much can fit through the eye of the needle. So we're essentially the sacred geometry is pushing that stuff through the syringe, through the eye of the needle, and only so much can come through at one time. Right. So we get all this sensory overload, but then suddenly after we experience this, we feel better, lighter, we feel clear and clean, and our mind is quiet and still, and we feel peaceful, but we don't understand fully why. Right. And then we go back into the world and we fall back in our behavior patterns. We eat foods at lower vibration and we get around in arguments and all these things start to bring these patterns of conditioning back. And this is why the lifestyle of healing and of doing the inner work consistently while we're, not in an altered state of consciousness, is actually really the real work. That's like the most important part. But these medicines serve as tools to allow us to understand more of who we are and to connect ourselves with the most basic fundamental version of who we are, which is essentially sacred geometry. Right. So when people study the cosmos and consciousness and or even the planets, right, basically they're always pulsing or like, sending these energetic signatures in the form of sacred geometry. And then only when we're open enough to allow that in, to allow it to teach you, is when we can actually receive it. So this really comes into our consciousness and our ability to receive, or how, and that's a direct reflection of how open our heart is. Right. So when our heart is open, we're allowed to receive these downloads. And look, right now, everybody is going through this ascension process and everybody's getting downloads. The extent of which we're able to grow and learn and raise our vibration is dependent upon the amount of energy we're allowing ourselves to receive. And this is where astrology can really come into play, because we can see, like, where's our Venus, right? Our Venus represents how we receive.
10th house.
Oh, it's in your 10th house? Okay, so that's literally your purpose, and it also represents your relationship to your father.
Yeah, that's my G.
There you go. So he probably taught you a lot of how to receive, right? Yeah. But also the way that you receive is based upon the amount of value that you feel that you give and receive in your life purpose of what you're doing in this life. So the more that you feel that you're giving to the world from this heart space place, the more efficiently you'll allow yourself to receiving, and the amount you receive is directly proportionate to the amount that you can give.
And I can give a lot.
There you go.
Like, I give an overflow, and I don't, and I have to tell people I don't give, like, I don't know. I was just having this conversation with my my guy friend. Like, I'm a giver, but I don't give. Like, I often tell people that I'm love personified, and I really mean that.
It's beautiful.
And people don't understand that love is the harsh truth sometimes. Even when nobody else will tell you, love will tell you.
Oh, yeah.
Love is the tough conversations. Love is, but love is also fun, and it's all those other things. So, like,
love, I don't believe love is harsh. I believe it's the resistance to love that is harsh.
Ooh,
it's the attachment that is harsh. It is the fear.
Yeah.
Love is unconditional.
Yeah, it is. But and people confuse unconditional, because unconditional, and I had to learn this. I confuse love. Unconditional is not, I'm going to let you beat me every day because I love you. That's not unconditional love.
That's attachment. But we are attached to experiences like that because we feel that we don't deserve love. And
when you said that earlier, and I was just like you said, I did this because I felt like I didn't deserve it. And you know how much, like, people, and it's one of those, it's an ayahuasca ceremony that or a shamanic walk that makes you realize, like, yo, I really deserve this, but I've really been keeping things from, I've been punishing myself for things that I've done.
Yep, exactly.
Ooh. Like, you know how high you gotta be,
right?
Understand that?
And we all, to a certain extent, punish ourselves in one way or another. That is the journey of life, to learn and identify how we punish ourselves and why, and to come to the understanding in the self-love to really not punish ourselves or allow ourselves to be punished from outside sources, which is essentially us punishing ourselves. Because we attract that from the outside in, and then we take it on, and we make the choice to take it on. And once we acknowledge that within ourselves, we realize, okay, I am the one that's choosing to take this on, so I have the power and the ability to not do that.
And when people, that's what I call people snatching their power back. You fuck somebody up when you snatch your fucking
power. Yeah, they lose that. They lose the flame in their in their own attachment, right? Yeah. And the dynamic between narcissist and empath in relationships is super common and super strong, but it's because we're so open. We're like this vulnerable, we're like this exposed wire that and the journey, which I equate to the Pluto energy in our chart, is
I got Pluto in my 12th house, and
Ooh.
my Scorpio ascent is in Pluto as well.
Ooh. Oh, so Pluto in the 12th house.
Yeah.
That's a very difficult placement. You tend to attract the darkness in other people.
I do, but
right.
I had to realize that, and so I didn't like it at first, but now I know how to one I attract my skill is, my magic power is, I attract the darkness in people, and people have this idea that people won't ever change, but even the person around me, not that I intend to go in and change them, but my lightness balances out their darkness. And once somebody is balanced, like they're balanced, and it's like, oh, on to the next. But at that, like, these people most often that don't stay, they're not meant to be in my life to stay.
Right.
So I don't get attached to those people, and so that's something I had to learn. But I realized that my Pluto does do that. But I'm okay with it. Like okay, I see what you're here for. Let me do what God tells me to do. Then when God say you're done, and on to the next. And so I'm okay with that. But yeah, that is very, very, very true. I attract a lot of, like I told my friends all the time, like I have a lot of sociopathic friends, like because they was real life sociopaths, and they got to know me, and it's just like, oh, I want to be a better person.
Yeah.
You know,
and really, so the deepest lesson of Pluto, no matter which house it's in, is all about learning how to take your power back and stand in healthy boundaries.
And that's so. And we were having a conversation about that. Now, I will say, because I am a big heart, because I am love personified, I don't like setting boundaries because I feel like I'm a mean person. Does that make sense? Like, to tell you, no, you can't do this, or just like, I feel like it's, I don't know, it's mean, like not like naively, but I don't like having to cut people I love off. I don't like having to, that, but it's a thing that needs to be done.
But it's not about other people. It's about you. People that come into your life are a mirror reflection of how you feel about yourself. So it's not about cutting other people off. It's about loving yourself enough to say, okay, this is my boundary. This is what I'm willing to accept. This is not what I'm not willing to accept. Communicating that with love. And if they do not abide by what you require for yourself, then that's going to fade away. That's going to go. This isn't about trying to change other people. It's about honoring yourself and letting what's going to be. And that's it. Right? Looking at it in a way that said that we're looking at other people and how they're influencing us, that is victim consciousness. Victim consciousness is rampant in the world today. I mean, we're all being programmed to think that way, that the outside world is going to dictate how we are or who we are in this life, which the fact of the matter is, when you take responsibility of your life, you take your power back, and you create your own reality, as opposed to allowing the outside world to create it for you.
And people don't really get, like, when you say, so my homeboy, the guy I just left, his name is CEOs, and it stands for create your own reality. Like that's and so that's his trademark, that's his brand, and I love that. But people really don't understand that you can legitimately, like, it's real, like as seen on TV, motherfucker, you can create your own reality.
Yeah,
real thing.
I'm a big fan of Caroline Miss's work. She created this archetypal system. She's a medical intuitive, and she teaches that there are 4 survival archetypes that every human being has to traverse in this lifetime. All right. Now, there are many more archetypes than that, but these 4 are the 4 that end up sabotaging our lives. As we address them, there's the wounded child, the victim, the saboteur, and the prostitute. Now, each one of these, they come out.
Saboteur gonna get me in trouble every time.
Right? But these are the voices in our head that talk to us, that sabotage things that we really want, because we're living in this place where we're convincing ourselves that we don't deserve to be wealthy, happy, loved, whatever. Right?
Yeah.
So this is a big thing that I teach, because in astrology, right, each planet is an archetype, and there's a shadow side and a light side to each archetype. So we're able to see and understand where we're living in the shadow aspect of which planetary archetype, and then identify and navigate how to move from the shadow to the light side of that archetype. And we can see what things are going to come up through the transits. And
that's why I tell people astrology is so important. Sorry to cut you off, but that's why I tell people it's important. Like, people think like it's a science, guys. So we're not. we can say it's magic, but it's not. We're not talking magic here. We're telling you like the A plus B equals C, bitch.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
People don't get that. A lot of people think of it as we're doing frou shit. Nah, we're not doing that shit. We're taking mathematical calculations and saying when this is here, it's the best time to do this.
Right. And everybody processes information, and some are more analytical, some are more intuitive, some are more feeling based, and depending on the way you bring these things up to people, and this is why, like for me, doing these different ways of healing helps people understand it in their own the way that they receive information.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So when you're able to help people understand it, it's going to trigger some kind of emotional response, and then you have to know how to navigate that emotional response, because if you shut them down, then they're gonna be like, fuck off.
Yeah, that's it. And that's the art. That's the art of healing, and that's what people get. Like you have to know how to respond to some shit that should have knocked the fuck. Like what the fuck did you just say? That's what you say in your brain sometimes. But the spiritualist in you, the filter, the God filter in you, whatever you. It brings out something different. It yields the compassion when it needs to. It yields the strong tongue when it needs to. It knows how to respond to what it needs to respond to, and I love that.
Right. And you know, the reason why people like you and I that are healers and that we have these gifts to share with the world, the reason why we have to go through so much shit is because we have to physically experience the vibrations, the emotions,
so we can know how to feel. Yeah,
the people that we're dealing with, like in combat, right? In combat, when guys come back and they go to see a therapist or a shrink to talk about their problems, if that shrink has not been to combat and not experienced the same kind of stuff, they're not going to fucking listen to them. They'll be like, you don't know. You never been blown up. You never been shot at. What the fuck are you going to tell me? Right? But when you've experienced it, you've been through it, you have that connection like, wow, man, like, so you made it to the other side. How'd you do it? Mm-hmm. So when we make it to the other side and we connect with someone and you just sit there and like your vibration tells all, you don't need to even say any words. Right.
And that's the thing. So along my discernment journey, like this is the moment I learned discernment. And like this is when I knew I was on. This is when I knew I was like, all right, God doing something here. I was in this meeting with this man. And so I'm me all the time. So I work in corporate America. So I'm this current, like on a Tuesday, sober. So and I bring myself, I show up as who I am everywhere I go. So know that. So I'm in corporate America as me. Things that's the reality that we're in. So I'm like, okay. So I do meetings. I'm the chair of this board called BRAG, the Black Responsiveness Affinity Group, and I have this older Black gentleman. He works with me. And it's interesting to watch the dynamic, just as scientists, as a young Black girl, as from all of perspective. So he has this love-hate relationship with me because he feels as if I shouldn't be at the table with him.
Oh,
I'm so young, and he worked really hard to get where he was, where he is, and I'm where he is at the age that I'm at. Right. He doesn't know how I got there. He doesn't know anything about me. So it's that. But he also has this endearment for me because, like, one time he came for me and I put him in his place, but respectfully.
Right.
So like a boss, because he expected me to be, bitch, because I've been through things that you know nothing about. So I know how to respond to you. I know how to respond to a wounded person. So one day he made a statement. Something as silly as he doesn't eat leftovers. And he said he was homeless. I said the two cannot be true.
Right.
That's not something that a homeless person would say. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah. It's like entitlement.
When you've been poor, for real,
yeah. You gotta eat.
And you carry that mentality with you because you know at any time it can happen again. Right. So that was a lesson in my discernment. I was just like, but that showed me who he was as a person. I didn't have to say, hey, I don't fuck with you, or you this type of person. No, it was just me watching it and being mindful and saying, oh, okay, so he has some, and as a spiritualist, he has some healing to do because just and so it's little things like that make me realize, like when we talk about superpowers and things like that and having discernment, or like that's what it looks like. It's the ability to be able to understand where somebody's coming from, understand that they need compassion in that moment, and to be able to serve them in whatever way. It's not, I'm going to hop out this window and fly across. It's not that, It might be that though. Shit, I don't live in definite. But sorry, that was a tangent. I ran away on it, but I felt led to share that because I felt that's where spirit took me. There's that. All right, so we're running up on 50 minutes. So all right. When I called you, the conversation we had prior to actually jumping on the recording, I asked you, what did you feel about, or what did you think when I said mental health and body? So answer that question for me. And so we'll go back through it and we'll unpack it.
Okay. Well, I mean, the body is the subconscious mind, right? So when we learn how to read the language that the human body is trying to tell us, then we know how it's affecting our mind and our emotions. And then we take appropriate action through discovering, what works for us in our lifestyle to heal and to grow. And there are many, many ways and levels that we can look at this, which is why, I actually wrote a book about this called Decrypting the Language of the Human Body. And especially when we get older, like you see a lot of people that are on prescription medication, they have pains, they've had surgeries, they've had traumas, they've had people die. And so they have like chronic knee pain, chronic back pain. And whenever we get, pains or digestive issues, like, cancer growing, it's all these things saying, hey, the body is out of balance and you're feeding these dysfunctional aspects of it, either emotionally or through some kind of compensation method, which is, eating junk food or doing drugs or, sleeping around or whatever it is, where you're getting that quick dopamine fix, right? We're a society that is addicted to dopamine fixes, the instant gratification. So we really have to be disciplined.
Dopamine fiends in this bitch.
What's that?
So we got some dopamine fiends in this bitch.
Oh yeah. And hey, like I've been there too. I struggled with addiction for a while. So, like the more sensitive we are, the more likely we are to get caught up in some of that. But that is where we need to overcome, our own stuff, because sometimes emotions get so strong in a negative way, and when the heart gets cracked open, that we don't know how to handle it. So this is where we have to connect ourselves with people that, help us be a better version of ourselves. And this is where we have to be our own nerd, right? And like do our research and discover and be willing to go into the discomfort for the bigger picture, for the longer term. So, I mean, physical pain is a very popular and like common aspect of how we hold on to this hurt and this suffering. And then, the journey through life will continue to bring things up that will make us have to face it, feel it, deal with it, until we go. So, this is where, like, I started off with body work and then understanding the energetic components of the physical body, and then getting into the microscopy and understanding, like how our body and our minds degrade over time and what things, hurt us, what things help us. And it's different for everybody. Everyone has their own way and their own unique process. And there's so much misinformation out there. There's so many ways that we are poisoned and like, are living in like a toxic world, that now more than ever, it's so important for us to have the courage and the self-love and discipline to step up into really loving our bodies and taking care of ourselves. But in order to do that, we got to face the pain. We have to go through the fire, right? So that's what I think we are all teaching in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
We have to slow down. In fact, Gabriel just said, I'm too fast for some people. And so if you're fast, if you're living fast, like a fast life, or that means you're being fast in your mind. Your mind is going, you probably have some kind of powerful Mercury placement, but this is where, like, when we're still and being honest with ourselves and have an open heart, we feel slow. We feel in the present moment. When you're living too fast, you're trying to get to the next thing. You have this destination preoccupation, right? Because you're in a situation where you don't want to be, but you just want to escape it and avoid it because you're not being still enough to feel the feelings and being honest with yourself about what you need to face and feel, right?
Destination preoccupation. Somebody get this in, put this man shit on a shirt, please. Listen, people, so I had to tell my dad the other day, I say, yo, you got time. Everybody, like, that's the thing. Everybody thinks they're running out of time. And the only way you run out of time, like, those people are the actually people, you manifest, you create your reality. So if you think you're running out of time, guess what?
Right, you're running out of time. Whatever you believe, you achieve.
Yeah.
Right?
Change your mind, change your life.
Right. So really the bottom line is if you're not happy with your life right now, life is trying to teach you what you need to face in order to be able to live the life that you want to live. So stop running from it. Like Gabriel said again, I think I scared him away. Okay, well, that's usually an attachment style. There are two fundamental forms of attachment style when it comes to relationships. There's the passive aggressive where you run away from it and go in your shell, and then there's like the anxious running to it. Right. So we have to identify our own, and all these techniques, all these different things that we do are just ways to really pinpoint why it is that we are manifesting this experience into our life. And once we are honest with ourselves, like, you know what, I invited this into my life. It's not them, it's me. And whenever we take responsibility for that, getting out of the victim consciousness, then we make the changes that we need to make. Okay, I need to stop running. I need to stop doing this. And I need to really sit myself and be honest. And then you start to seek out ways to help you grow and face it and go through it. Because look, the only way out is in. You have to go into it within yourself. Right?
People don't explain, like a lot of people say that. I like the, and it's not like we sound like Yodas. The only way out is in, but it is. So true, though. But like, it's like speaking a secret code. The people who really understand that knows what it means. Like when I hear the phrase "go with the flow," I understand what that means. I like it's hit different for me. But I remember like the moment I understood it, I was like, oh, that's what that means.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. And then once you understand it experientially, then you're able to move through it. So the way it's interesting, I always teach this to understand. A lot of people, like when we're starting to learn something new, right? We have to intellectually understand it first. And energetically speaking, the way that energy comes in through like a download in our crown chakra, right? And it has to go through all of our chakra energetic positions because they all represent different emotional states. Mm-hmm. And then also different blockages, right? Once we intellectually bring it down, it may get stuck somewhere where we have a blockage. So that's going to bring up something that we have to face and work through. Once it goes all the way through, okay, the plumbing is clear, then it has to come back up to become experiential, to understand how to embody and be that change, that shift, right? And then
participant in that, like that's you have to actively work through that. People like it's magic. Healing is not magic. Like going within is not magic. It's just like you have to literally put one foot in front of the other. You have to make yourself do it.
Right. So another popular thing that people are talking about, right now, last few years, is Kundalini awakenings or Kundalini activation. Right.
Tell me about it. I'm picturing a Johnny Depp meme. Like, tell me more. Like,
okay. So Kundalini is our life force. It's also our sexual energy, right? And this day and age, especially, especially women are hypersexualized, right? And this is having an imbalanced collective sacral chakra, which also comes with the victim mentality. Like a lot of women, like I live in Las Vegas. Okay. So a lot of women here like use their sexuality for manipulation tools and to get what they want. And, and eventually, these women and men too, they get all this money, they're playing all these games and doing this stuff, but eventually they just feel alone, or they start to just run into like this very dark, lonely place. But at some point in everyone's life, they're going to have a Kundalini activation. And there are certain astrological transits in everyone's life that I can get into too, that will activate these things. But whenever your soul is ready to evolve, that's when this happens. So the Kundalini energy essentially sits dormant at the base of the spine, right at the sacrum. And when it gets activated, it shoots up the spine. And this energy that shoots up there is a very high vibrational, sexual energy. And where and if there is a blockage, it'll get stuck in there and it'll cause problems, right? So suddenly, somebody wakes up, and then you know, they're just walking around, all of a sudden, like their lower back goes out. Ah, fuck, what's going on? Like they pinch a nerve.
Listen, so like this is creeping me out a little bit because so I went and got this. So and maybe this is the thing that did it. So I went and got this IUD called Kalina put into my uterus so that I wouldn't get pregnant. I had one miscarriage one miscarriage and 2 abortions. I was like, yeah, I got to do better with my whole fucking life. Yeah. So shortly after that, I would have these, when I say lay down, bitch, and don't get up ass, sharp pains. Yeah. And they would persist and persist. And I went to doctors. None of the doctors could find anything. And I think it was my Kundalini awakening.
I'm sure it was. Absolutely.
That shit was crazy. And it stopped. And it just stopped.
Okay. So if chances are if it stopped, then you got the message and you integrated whatever dense energy was trying to come through to teach you, and then it dissipates. And then it goes, right? But it'll continue to happen, you know, more and more over and over as it clears these blockages through the body. So a lot of people, when they get into older age, especially going through the Chiron return and or Uranus opposition, because Uranus represents Kundalini energy. It's the Great Awakener. Okay. Right. And right now we're having a lot of very powerful Uranus energy going on. Right. And while it's in Taurus, Taurus represents the physical body. So while Uranus is activating all this Kundalini energy going through the transit of Uranus for the next 5 or 6 years, this is really activating this energy in a very deep way. And the older we get, the more crystallized we get in our belief systems and like the patterns of life that we are. So the deeper or more dense the imbalance in the mind and the body can be, right? So say like you get something that herniates a disc, then now you have to spend all of your energy and all your time. It's like now you can't focus on anything else because this is too much. This is going to occupy all your energy and all your attention. But going through that process of healing that herniated disc, whether it's surgery, whether it's healing it naturally, whatever, is going to teach you about yourself, humble the hell out of you, right? And it's going to change you. So we can either consciously go through this and address it before it gets to a tower moment, right? Or the universe is going to create a tower moment in our life to say, now you can't move on. Now you have to deal with this. Now you have to face it.
And that's what I try to explain to people. Listen, you take care of it for the universe do it for you. And you can't run from the fucking universe. The universe is a sick, twisted fuck. It loves to
it's actually, if you think about the universe is the most loving energy that we can experience. But when that light comes in, it irritates our demons. It irritates our shadow. So this is where we have to do the shadow work. Yeah. Because it's our resistance to the light that is causing the pain. It's not the universe. The universe trying to help us out.
We're doing it to ourselves, like you said.
We're doing it for ourselves. And this is where the victim and the saboteur and the wounded child come into play. Right?
Prostitute, you can't forget the prostitute. Now that you told me that, I'm going to always blame everything on that one. I'm going to be like,
okay, so what do you think the archetype of the prostitute represents?
So this is so thick and convoluted, but it's our need for attention. We prostitute for many different things. So the need for validation, the need to be fulfilled with something other than ourselves. So we prostitute. No?
Nope.
Okay.
And a lot of people get this mixed up. What you're talking about is actually more the saboteur.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah.
So the prostitute is how much we're willing to sell ourselves for our values and morals and ethics that we don't fully believe in.
Ooh, right? Shit.
So if you have a lack mentality, or if you believe that you don't deserve something, a perfect example is the story of Sylvester Stallone, right? Sylvester Stallone, what's that?
I said I love his story.
Yeah. So like he wasn't willing to sell himself. Like he got all these offers. He wrote Rocky and he actually had to sell his dog, and he was like practically homeless. And he got offered all this money, and he was like, nope, I need to be doing it. I need to be in this. He honored himself, and he did not sell himself, right? But a lot of people, right, especially like, again, chicks here in Vegas, right? They're like, okay, well, I'll give you a blowjob for $500. I'll have sex with you for $5,000. Like, I will sell myself, my self-worth, my sexuality is worth this amount of money. But eventually that's going to beat up your self-esteem and make you feel like you're not worthy of real true love, right? Because you're basically selling your soul for something. A lot of people in Hollywood, same thing. They sell their soul in order to be able to become famous.
Just to buy some attention. That's what Wayne say.
Exactly.
Just to buy some attention. Yeah, like I'm good.
Right.
I'm good.
So this is where your morals and ethics and values come into play. And this is where we have to be honest with ourselves, which, you know, like if like, you know, like there was a little while where I even considered being a gigolo. I get going out there and selling myself to make money. But when it came down to like actually stepping into that, I was like, I was a male stripper for a little while. Right. And I remember I did this one bachelorette party. It was at a casino.
What was your name?
What's that?
What was your stripper name? Were you the spiritual bodybuilder?
No, I was Chiron. Right. So, you know, of course, like I have the body for it, but I don't really have the mind for it. And you know, I'm a white boy, so I can't really dance that great unless I'm really fucked up, and I don't really want to live my life fucked up. So I remember I was working with this dude, this skinny black dude. He looked kind of like Genuine, right? And this dude can move his body. His name was Marathon. All right. And so he's like
Marathon.
Yeah, Marathon, right? So I mean, this dude was just, he made me look and feel like, wow, I cannot do this. But I remember it was my first one, and he walks in. He was an entertainer. This dude could move. Like, I was like, holy shit, dude! Like, teach me. And these chicks were like young college chicks that were like visiting Vegas for the first time, and this dude is just representing. He's like getting down, and he's making these chicks feel all hot. And then like the bachelorette was sitting in the chair, so he was like, all right, now it's your turn to give her a lap dance. And literally, like, I'm like trying to look all sexy and shit, but I'm so stiff that like literally she was sitting there. She was like scared of me. Like,
oh my gosh, that's fucking hilarious.
So I realized that even if I wanted to, I cannot do the prostitute. Like, I'm just not capable of it, which I'm actually really grateful for now that I've worked through a lot more things, and I'm actually becoming very successful now. But it took me a long time to get there because I had to face all these really difficult you know, parts of myself that I just like, I had a lack mentality for a long time. I struggled financially, and I struggled to get my business going, but it was because I didn't believe in myself, and I had to face all that shit.
And you said a lot, like lack mentality or believing in yourself. I'm trying to figure out which red pill or blue pill, which one?
You red pilling all day long over here.
Listen, all right, let's go with the lack mentality. What's a lack mentality to you? So, because I have an idea, but I love to get everybody's perspective of things is different. So I like to see how you think, and maybe you can give me some tools to add to my repertoire.
My life mentality?
And your lack mentality. So you say
lack mentality.
Yeah.
Well, deep down, I realized that because of, you know, my abandonment experiences, like, you know, when I was a kid, I was basically thrown away like a piece of trash, right? My mom, I didn't even know my dad. He took off when I was 3. I was adopted. I didn't know I was adopted till I was a teenager. So I felt like I didn't deserve to be loved. I didn't deserve to have abundance, like, in general. So through my relationships, like intimate relationships, through experiences in life, through, like, I had this belief, you know, I grew up in Boston. So the belief out there was you're going to work your ass off and, you know, just to make ends meet, pay the bills, and have no life. Right. So I had this belief because that's what I grew up understanding. And I had to work, like, I worked myself to death really until, like, I couldn't, you know, handle it anymore. And I was still struggling, and I had to just let it go. And really, I couldn't let it go until I had no more juice left in me to hold on to it. Right.
If you don't surrender, the universe will make you. I like to tell people, God will make you lay down. Like, I'm going to drain you. I'm going to literally tell people, like, rest, because you'll get sick. Like, because I don't want God to have to make you. I don't want to have to watch that, because it's very often not pretty.
Right.
But like you said, the universe is a loving, enduring thing. That goes back to that being love. Like, love is truthful, it's honest with you. It teaches you the hard lessons, and that's what the universe does. And
you know, like, in going through my experiences in the military, made me realize that, and even competing in bodybuilding, you know, like, I did a lot of things that not many people will ever do in their lives. And when you create discipline and you know, have a purpose. At least men are more like purpose driven, women are more like caregiver driven. But at the end of the day, when we step into these you know, places of disciplining ourselves to move through things the best we can, we realize that our spirit will carry us much further than our ego will. So our ego wants to give up at about 40%, but we realize we can keep going, and that's like Navy SEALs. Like they push you until, you know, you break and break and break and break. And through working with ayahuasca and through building my own business and through, you know, going through all these things, deep down I have this insatiable knowing and desire to become, you know, the best version of me that I can, you know, that I will be successful, I will be wealthy, I will have love and all these things. So my heart, and I know my soul, my spirit has the strength and wherewithal to move through. And I've gone through thousands of ego deaths. All right. But we have to go through these levels of ego death to get out of our own way.
There's levels to this shit.
There's so many levels. There's so many levels. So that's where you have to make the decision within yourself to, it's like get rich or die trying, 50 Cent, right? Like it doesn't matter how.
That's what I understand. Absolutely.
Right? Like you are going to, like, I am going to push myself. I am going to grow, and I'm going to make this happen no matter what, no matter how long it takes. I am going to make it or die trying.
Stop me.
Right?
That's it.
And I know so many people, I see so many people that get to a certain place, like, all right, I'm comfortable. I'm good. This is, you know, this gives me a nice, safe and secure life.
Keep going.
But no, you got to keep growing. And everybody that I know that gets comfortable, they, like, after a few years, they get bored and, you know, frustrated and tired, and then they start straying, or they start dumb shit, right? So I made a promise back when I was in Iraq. Like, I realized that I didn't want to defuse bombs for a living anymore, and I was like, all right, I don't care what it takes. I'm gonna figure this out, and I'm gonna become wealthy and successful and have love in my life. I'm not gonna settle for less ever again, right? And there's been many layers of that. Like I've been in relationships where I thought they were the one, and then it falls apart, and I realized that they were just there to teach me something. But, you know, heartbreak is one of the most powerful things that will move you into growth, right? Like when my daughter was born, she has been probably the biggest catalyst for change. You know, teaching me how to be a man and teaching me how, like, I want her to be proud of me, right? But, you know, I went through a massive amount of, because I didn't have a father growing up. Like, I didn't know what it means to be a father. I was terrified that I wouldn't be able to take care of her or give her the life that she deserved. And that really taught me probably the most out of anything. And, you know, your love for a child is unlike anything. Right?
So facts.
Yeah.
So I don't have any kids, but I have a niece. So
okay.
So I tell her, like, so the neighborhood, just the whole idea of the neighborhood hope dealer it's for her. So like so I get that. I get that on the level in which you said. All right. We went down a rabbit hole, couple rabbit holes. All right. So I'm going to wrap us up, but really quickly, I wanted to talk about something you said. Ask you one more question, and then we're gonna wrap up. Okay.
Okay.
We talked about you said about the Great Awakening. So one of these things is one of the things that I always recommend to people is have you a spiritualist on your team. Because like you said, a lot of people right now are going through an ascension process. And when you're going through something and you don't know you're going through it, and then you're going through something and you know you're going through it, you maneuver different. The experience is different.
Oh yeah.
You experience life in a different way.
Everything. And
there's a lot of people right now who are undergoing something that they don't know about it, and they're not handling it the best. And that's interesting. That's just an interesting aspect in and of itself. So I always say, get you a spiritualist. Like, for people who watch this, like, don't get you. I'm not first off, I'm not against any religion. All are welcome. This is always a safe place. The neighborhood is a safe place. But I believe what I believe, and I think what I believe. I think so. Get you. I don't. My dad is a Southern Baptist minister. So what I say,
wow.
With all due respect, don't go get you a religion. Get you a spiritualist.
Yeah. 100%.
Like I've studied all the religions. Because what I was taught. And so I take a little bit of mine. It's like making gumbo, bitch. My spiritual belief is spicy, you know.
Well, you know, they say religion is for people that are afraid to go to hell, and spirituality is for people that have already been there. And ain't that the truth, right?
Been there, tap dance with the devil.
Right.
It was like, all right, I got some business to handle. So,
exactly.
So, and I say all of that to say, like, first off, a spiritualist, we got the fucking spiritual bodybuilder, but like, what we do is real and it's important, and it shows you a bit about who you are as a person, just about the people you have around you. That goes to mental health, that goes to physical health, that goes to all of that thing. You got the right people around you. They're gonna tell you, hey, you want to come. They might not call you fat, but they're gonna say, hey, you want to come to the gym with me?
Yeah. Look,
you know what I'm saying?
If you're not surrounding yourself, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room.
You're in the wrong room.
Right.
Absolutely.
You have to surround yourself with people that are going to hold you accountable, which is actually why I created the Opportunity Community. So I have a community where we connect every week, and I have a do-it-yourself 4-week transformational protocol that people can do, and then they can duplicate it on their own. I've tried it. I do everything that I can to help people in as many ways that I can, while at the same time, you got to make money, you got to be able to grow and learn. But I find that when I help people, and like, I like to develop leaders, I don't like to develop followers. So people that end up, creating their own communities and start doing, flourishing on their own, that's karmic reward coming back. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So, helping people helps people that help people. And that's just, the way that I see, works best for me, at least.
And that's one of the things, like, one of my gags is, especially right now with all the beef that's going on in the fucking spiritual community, is it's like, we all here to help people. We here to help. It's a fractal of help. That's what it should be,
Yeah.
And,
but, like, a lot of people are going through the dark night of the soul. Like, we're going through a collective dark night of the soul right now. So with all the shadows coming up and all this darkness coming up, like, it's a part of the process to be lost in it for a little bit. Everybody gets lost in it.
Absolutely.
And, it can be overwhelming at times. Like, people are struggling with depression, anxiety, like fear, and, lack. And so, the more that we, are willing to go through this dark night alone and connect with people that are going to hold us accountable, allow ourselves to be held accountable, right? And face our own triggers, then that is when, like, things start to just rise into alignment. I don't like to say fall into place, because I like the rising into alignment more efficiently.
I like that. I like just the use of the words, the positive vibration of the rising, and just
word, thoughts and words are frequencies.
Ooh, people don't understand that you speak abracadabra, like that God created. If we go to the very basic fundamentals, he said, and there was. So you can do the same thing he do. I'm just saying.
Exactly. It's very simple. But these little tiny nuances, like, that's something that NLP taught me a lot, that these words, we have like a socially accepted vibration that goes with these words. Like, when you say the word manipulation, right? There's a negative connotation to that word.
Immediately.
But what really is manipulation? It is the ability to change something.
Yeah.
That's it. So really, the word inherently has no good or bad traits to it. We attach that to it.
Absolutely.
Right? So by speaking about what we're speaking about, we're manipulating people. But we're helping people to see things so that they can change and they can get curious about what they can do. So this is where we have to really understand and teach and really look at the inflection and the energy, the vibration behind the words, and also behind the thoughts that we think. Right? Like when you think about the word love, right? A lot of people, when they think about the word love, they feel pain. They feel betrayal.
Ooh, right? They get angry.
And that's not love, that's attachment. So when you actually really connect, like, the first time I ever felt love was on ayahuasca. She taught me what love feels like. Before that, all I knew was attachment. So I thought that attachment was love, right?
I do practices of like detachment. I use certain times or energies in life, when certain times in the sky, and I say, hey, what are you unbalancedly, anything in excess is poison, attached to?
Right.
You know, and I ask myself, I do like a inventory asset check. It's like, okay, do you love this person or are you just attached to them? You know, and that's it's those are hard conversations I have to have with myself. I be calling myself all kind of like crazy bitches, like what the fuck are we doing here? But it's something that and I really go back, it's really a battle with yourself. Like I really go back and forth with myself, but I always try to choose, but I'm always honest with myself because if you go to the doctor and tell the doctor that your tooth hurt and it's really your stomach, he can't heal the ailment. Right. You have to accept that you have to say the thing in order to really change the thing. And a lot of people are afraid to say the thing, but guess what? Ain't nobody gonna whoop your ass if you grow, you know what I'm saying? So so don't be afraid to grow. Don't be afraid to look at the things that actually need to change and say, hey, I need to change them. You ain't got to tell nobody, just change it. You know,
right.
All right.
You know, everybody's going to grow and when they're ready to grow.
Absolutely.
You can't force this process.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're ready to grow, that's when you make that decision, that choice to
that's
call in.
Yeah.
Right. So just be honest with yourself about what are you really willing to do. If you need to sit in your shit for a while until it gets so bad that you can't handle anymore, then you do that.
Yeah.
Like that, and that's where people like you and I, that's where we just got to hold space.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm gonna hold this loving energy here. And when
people don't know how to do that. People like broken people can't do that because they are not getting a person that's going through something like that. They have nothing to give you, but you still have to hold space for them. And a lot of people,
with no expectations.
Yeah, with none.
Right. And that is difficult on our end, right? Because especially when you really want to help people, that like there are two sides to this coin. So, you know, when the student is ready, the teacher appears, but the teacher is also a student at the same time.
Absolutely. And a teacher and a good teacher knows that.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Right. So everyone that I work with, I learn something from them, and I'm great. And I always have an attitude of gratitude. Like another one of my favorite sayings is attitude of gratitude is my longitude and latitude.
Fix. I like that. Fix.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, you know, and that shit sticks with you. It's like, be grateful.
It's catchy as fuck. Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So we got to wrap this up because I got to go get some food before I pour this bottle. So one last question, off the cuff question: what's the most painful tattoo you got?
Ooh, that's a good question. I would have to say honestly, like my lower back. Ooh. Like I have my whole back done, but like right around where like the ribs meet the QL in the lower back here. Yeah, the ribs are incredibly painful.
Oh.
So yeah, like right on my kidneys, I guess you could say, was probably the most painful part.
Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. This one's that
and my elbow.
Oh yeah, that shit feel like that's like I'm not even fucking with that. That's a no touch zone. Hell no.
Yeah.
This was my most painful one so far. I'm gonna get some more, but this one.
Okay. Yeah. I'm in the process of getting my whole arm redone. So I
want a whole sleeve, but I'm so nerdy to like I like the placement of my tattoos and how they look. So I feel like a sleeve would mess up the look, but I'm definitely about to sleeve my leg, and I'm excited about it. I'm gonna do an Alice in Wonderland theme on my leg.
Nice. I like it. There you go.
All right, so we're getting ready to head out for tonight. Is there any advice that you want to just lay out to the people as per body and mental health?
You know, no, I think we talked a lot about advice. I would just like to send out my love to all you people out there, and that if you're in a difficult place right now, trust that it is only temporary. Everything is temporary. The only constant is change.
The only constant is change.
Right. So just make sure that you remember that whatever it is that you're feeling right now, if you're not in a good place, that it will change. And just believe in that, trust in that, and have faith. Trust the universe, trust the process that good things are coming. And the more you believe in that, the more you will seek it out. And, you know, the more that you're going to start to see the change start to happen. Just got to believe, baby. That's it.
You just got to believe it. And we didn't, I'm not going to go back down that rabbit hole, but that's, if like you said, if I leave anything, like the hardest thing for you to do is believe, but it's the hardest because it's the most powerful thing. So once you begin to believe in yourself, the world, mountains will move in front of you. Things will change. And it'll take time, but it's possible. So So there is that. Thank you so much, spiritual bodybuilder. All right, guys. So
have me on.
We have two more pop-up shots. We doing beauty and bullshit. I'm a boss, bitch.
I love your energy. You're fucking awesome, dude.
So we're gonna definitely y'all be on the lookout for those. They're gonna be great. I got some great people lined up for those. Eustress Inc. I'm going to at some point, probably not tonight, but at some point, put a donation, his link for his donations. Look up. It's legit. Look it up. It's a charity that's awesome. It's near and dear to my heart. It's mental health awareness month. It's mental health awareness weekend. Y'all already know I'm going to turn up. I got a gala to go to. You guys can also go to the links. I'll put Eustress Inc. Online, whatever that part. So with that being said, thank you so much again, spiritual bodybuilder Nim. I appreciate you. I'm so grateful to be able to gain some of your wisdom. I'm super excited. I feel like I just did ayahuasca.
Yeah, let's get it. Yeah, and thank you for having me on. This is a really good time. Are you going to post this somewhere?
So this is going to be on our mystical illumination. So it loads weird. So it'll load so immediately you can go and watch this. But it'll be under our live videos. But maybe within 24 hours, it'll become a video like we have on as content.
Okay, cool. So guys, go to the Mystic Illuminations site and check this out if you missed the whole thing, because we talked about some real deep stuff here. Yeah. And I'm grateful to be here with you guys, and thank you so much, and have an awesome weekend.
You as well. You have fun. I appreciate you. We'll work together again soon, I'm sure of it.
Oh, 100%. Absolutely.
Be blessed. Bye, guys.